After 4 weeks of quarterfinal action, the Bellator Fighting Championships now enters Week 5, headlined by two sensational semifinals in the 155-pound division. Jorge Masvidal, Toby Imada, Eddie Alvarez, and Eric Reynolds each answered the challenge in the opening round tonight. Masvidal versus Imada and Alvarez versus Reynolds. Emotions are high, so are the stakes. A title is within reach. The task is simple, just win. It is the Bellator Fighting Championships, 5 from Dayton, Ohio, right now. And we welcome you inside the Hara Arena, Dayton, Ohio. It is the Bellator Fighting Championships 5. So good to have you back with us, John Anik and Jason Chambers. And tonight, the action really heats up. We begin the semifinal round of our inaugural lightweight tournament. 4 155-pounders remain. They will compete for the 2 spots in the Bellator Lightweight Championship on June 19th. Jorge Masvidal has his eyes firmly on the prize. He'll take on the wily veteran in Toby Imada, and in what should be an absolute stand-up war, ubiquitous top 5 lightweight Eddie Alvarez set to exchange with the upset-minded Eric Reynolds. We begin tonight, though, with a special feature attraction. So a solid feature bout here in the welterweight division. Justin Edwards taking on John Troyer. And for Edwards, when football was over, it was time for mixed martial arts.
I started fighting because I was looking for a new full contact sport to keep competing in. I played football in college, and then I went on to rugby, and then I just need something to progress.
So here is Justin Edwards making his way to the Bellator cage for the first time. 1-0 in his mixed martial arts career, fighting out of Bellefontaine, Ohio.
Yeah, and his one win came against Josh Rafferty's, who a lot of guys know as the Season 1 Ultimate Fighter veteran. So a good first win. If you got to take somebody out your first time, might as well be a UFC vet.
Yeah, that was his mixed martial arts debut, November of 2008, and it did it in 30 seconds in the first round. So far, so good for Justin Edwards. Maybe a little short for a welterweight. I know sometimes when I bring up the height, you think I'm a little bit crazy, but when we get to his opponent here, you'll see why. His opponent's over 6 feet tall. But Justin Edwards, I guess the report on him, a lot of Muay Thai skills, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, and really just a gifted athlete. I mean, a wrestler, a rugby guy, and a gifted football player as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to make an educated opinion on someone after one fight. I'm about to put my foot in my mouth here and say
Do it.
Here it goes, ready? I think that Justin Edwards, just based on some of the things I've heard about him, hearing about some of his training methods and stuff, I think he's a guy that, for being 1-0, definitely deserves to be fighting a guy like Josh Troyer, who's had 10 fights, because this could be the guy that keep your eye on. He's going to be going 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0.
Right.
You know, so a solid wrestler, great athlete, and aggressive.
Rugby and football in college, a linebacker, and then eventually a fullback at Division II Urbana University. A lot of solid wrestling credentials. Actually weighed 192 last Monday, so taking the fight on 2 weeks' notice, made the weight. His opponent is John Troyer, and he was not shy with a prediction.
The way I see this fight going is a knockout. From watching some footage from the guy that I'm fighting, he looks like he likes to stand, and I love to stand, so I'm ready to see a nice little knockout.
So here is John Troyer out of Louisville, Kentucky, 8-2 in his mixed martial arts career. Tell us a little bit about John Troyer, Jay.
You know, half of his wins have come by knockout, half of his wins have come by submission. So this is a guy, again, really well-rounded. Obviously, tonight he's looking for the knockout, so we'll see how that goes. A lot of guys want to come into fights, and everybody headhunts for that knockout, but unfortunately, that can change as soon as you get hit, and you want to go back to what you're good at. But being 4-4, and as far as submissions and knockouts, he can take the fight wherever he wants to.
John Troyer, a hook-and-shoot veteran, despite the fact that he's only 23 years old, began the mixed martial arts career 8-0 before dropping his last two, and his last two to quality opposition, by the way.
Yeah, Nick the Goat Thompson, who actually has a win over Eddie Alvarez also. I think Eddie's first loss. So Nick, UFC veteran, really tough guy at 170 pounds. And rear naked choke, Alex Andre, another Bellator competitor. So the guys he's losing to are obviously top shelf competitors.
Yeah, so as the level of competition has sort of risen, it's been a tougher go of it for John Troyer. We'll see what he has here tonight against Justin Edwards, and we'll see if that height advantage plays a role. All right, we send it inside the Bellator circle. We get the official particulars, Justin Edwards and John Troyer.
Damas y caballeros, este es el siguiente combate de esta noche, pactado a 3 asaltos en la división peso welter. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our next bout of the evening, set for 3 rounds in the welterweight division. Los jueces, the judges, Virgil Goodwine, Stacy Blevins y Jose Connors. El referee, Greg Franklin. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de negro con rojo y blanco. He steps into the ring wearing black, trimmed in red and white. Su peso oficial, 169 libras y media. His official weight, 169 1/2 pounds. Un especialista en las disciplinas del boxeo tailandés y jiu-jitsu brasileño. En su segundo combate profesional con récord de 1 victoria. He is a Muay Thai and Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist in his second professional bout with a record of 1 victory. Representing Iron Tiger, Bellefontaine, Ohio, Justin Fast Eddie Edwards. Y en la esquina roja, in the red corner, vestido de negro con naranja, blanco y verde. He steps to the ring wearing the green trunks trimmed in white, orange, and black. Su peso oficial, 171 libras. His official weight, 171 pounds. Practica el arte marcial de estilo libre con un récord de 8 victorias y 2 derrotas. He is a freestyle fighter with a professional record of 8 victories and 2 losses. Representing Louisville MMA, Louisville, Kentucky, John Troyer.
Fight is the center. Gentlemen, you'll be given your instructions back in the locker room. I want a good, clean fight. Do I have any questions out of the blue corner? Any questions out of the red corner? Need you to touch gloves. I want a good, clean fight.
So there's your referee, Greg Franklin. I did a double take there. He looks a lot like Rich Franklin, but at least the hair. Call me crazy.
I think Rich Franklin's training right now in California. Unless he's found a way to be omnipresent, I think we're safe here.
And if he's listening, he probably didn't love the comparison. But we are in Ohio, so who knows? Could be some relation there. All right, so Fast Eddie, Justin Edwards taking on John Troyer.
Oh, big right hand right away out of the box there. Said, you're going to knock me out, I'm going to bring some right leather. Edwards just firing away. That was like a 360-degree takedown. Great work there by both guys, going at it right away. Troyer moves right into mount. Oh, Edwards powering through. I like this fight already.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Justin Edwards has the crowd behind him, and
he's in on an arm bar
so far.
Let's see if he's got that deep enough. He's kind of got his arm bent. He should just be able to come around the side and pass guard.
Edwards pounding away here from the top. Fast Eddie off to a quick start.
So Fast Eddie can keep that pace up. Couple of good hammer fists from the top, Eddie. Oh, good right over the top.
John Troyer clearly looks dazed. It might not be long here.
John Troyer keeps trying to dive in on that arm bar. Let's see if Edwards tries to jump in on the guillotine here. If he stands up and tries to grab it.
Justin Edwards looking over at George Gurgel and others in his corner for some advice. What would you tell him to do?
At this point, I got to tell him to, this is a tough one. You get the one arm in on the guillotine. I'd either say try to abandon the one arm in guillotine and go right to the guillotine, close your guard, or stand back up. I mean, at that position, I would have probably just told him to stand back up and use the cage.
Well, Troyer is definitely bleeding, the man on top there. Trickling down all over Edwards on the bottom.
Gurgel just said that was the worst guillotine he's ever seen.
Really?
Harsh. Oh, I know Gurgel's not going to be happy about Edwards turning his back, but backed up top. There's some fire in Edwards. He's ready for that knockout.
Edwards just throwing away, left, right, left.
Both of these guys slugging it out. Some great action for 2.5 minutes into the first round.
Yeah, you can't forecast a third round given all the energy expenditure here in round one.
Both the guys right in front of us now. This is why I love my job. I got a front row seat to fights like this.
Nothing better, man. And now it seems like Troyer is starting to land here.
Both guys just swinging for the fences. That's one of those times you just kind of both plant your feet and say, I'm going to punch you, you're going to punch me. Whoever falls down first loses.
Nice knees there to the body by John Troyer. Seems to have found a little bit of a comfort zone here in the fight after getting pummeled early on.
Well, Troyer kind of got in on a double, and Edwards hopped guard a little bit there, but he's in on a guillotine. Oh, he's going to use it to get to mount. At this point, abandon the guillotine and get up to the mount. It's not deep enough.
You may have to put...
wait a minute. I'm full of it. It was deep enough, and it is all over.
And both guys lying next to each other on the canvas. A furious pace there, and Justin Edwards improves to 2-0 in his MMA career. Jason, you called it at the outset. You said Edwards was a guy you wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he was all of a sudden 5 or 6-0. Quite a Bellator debut.
Yeah, Justin Edwards came out of the just aggressive, and that's one of the things that we love to see in fights, is guys looking to finish the fight, not figuring out the best way to not lose. And Edwards came out of the gun, throwing heavy hands right out of the gate. He hit Troyer with a right hand that buckled his knees, and then we just saw those takedowns, the reverse back and forth action, and obviously Troyer not happy with his loss there, but a great performance. A lot of heart by both guys.
So George Gurgel cornering a few guys here in Dayton, Ohio tonight. Justin Edwards being one of them. Fast Eddie telling us he works as a flexible scope technician. Does some repair there. Would love to do MMA full time, and given what happened here tonight, that goal might not be too far off.
Yeah, Edwards came out, Troyer came out, they both were looking to fight. I mean, when you got a guy like Troyer saying, I'm gonna knock you out, I mean, you see here that this takedown got thwarted, comes over the right hand, Edwards just letting leather go. Troyer works the double underhook, twists all the way down and gets a nice takedown there on Edwards. Fantastic
ballroom
Edwards.
dancing there, huh?
Yeah, a little ballroom dancing. See Edwards here just backing Troyer up to the cage. Troyer throws a few good hands, both fighters exchanging. Couple knees there, just mixing everything up really well for your first fight. I think we're gonna see a lot more of that. And if we look here at the end of the fight, we see that Edwards is working in on a guillotine there. He hops his guard to get more leverage. He must have felt like that wasn't deep enough. And usually a lot of times when you got an arm in a guillotine there, it's hard to get the leverage, but flopping to your back like Troyer did is a last-ditch effort to try to relieve that pressure, and that wasn't happening here as we see Troyer taps out and ends the fight.
So Justin Edwards, very impressive in his Bellator debut. He submits John Troyer. Height disadvantage certainly wasn't one here tonight for Justin Edwards as he improves to 2-0. Let's send it inside the circle for the official announcement.
Damas y caballeros, una estrangulación de guillotina obliga a la esquina roja que se rinda con un tiempo oficial de 3 minutos 12 segundos del primer asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, a guillotine choke forces the red corner to tap out with an official time of 3 minutes 12 seconds of round number 1. Your winner, by way of submission, el vencedor por sumisión, Justin Fast Eddie Edwards.
Well, the crowd certainly enjoyed the performance there for Justin Edwards. He took the fight on just 2 weeks' notice, and he is certainly glad that he did. So you take one more look there. Justin Edwards able to sink it in, and John Troyer says no mas. Fast Eddie, a quick start to his MMA career as he improves to 2-0. So 3 rounds of fighting now in the heavyweight division. Sherman Pendergast taking on Joey Beltran. Pendergast, a very colorful guy. Let's hear from Sherman on how he got started in mixed martial arts.
We all decided to go up to the fights, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, you know, and actually he didn't fight on that card because he was hurt, but we all still went up because we got front row tickets. Sitting there and I'm looking at these guys fighting MMA. I mean, I've seen it on TV, you see it, you know, but this is the first time up close, and I'm like, and I'm like, I can beat these guys. 4 guys next to me, they're all wrestlers, they're all friends. They're like, you can't do this, Sherman. I'm like, don't tell me what I cannot and can't do. I'm going to do this. And that guy who was a champion that night, it was reality fighting, his name was Glenn Sandals. I said, man, I know I can beat that guy. A year later to that date, I knocked that guy out.
And there he is, Sherman Pendergast, 11-12 in his career, 42 years old, but don't let the age fool you. I mean, I'm not saying he looked 22, but he looked to be a lot younger than 42 years old.
Yeah, I've actually fought on a card with Sherman before, and I had no idea he was 42, but, you know, I guess staying in shape is mixed martial arts, a great way to do it.
He didn't like the age question, but I saw the age on the bout sheet. I figured I better tee him up on it. Fighting out of Baltimore, Maryland, now Militich Fighting Systems in Iowa, and really had a lot of great stories about his time with Pat Militich. Just talked about some of the unorthodox, crazy workouts, pulling a car, pulling people, a lot of different intricacies to his training now under Pat Militich, and says he's been training hard for this fight for about 10 weeks, and hopefully it translates against Joey Beltran.
It looks like he can bench press a car. Jeez, he's a big guy, man. These heavyweights are huge, and you got guys like that, they tend to hit hard when you put 230 pounds of force behind it.
Sherman's fought some of the best heavyweights in the world: Shane Carwin, John Murphy, Justin Eilers, Josh Barnes. Long UFC appearance came at UFC 65, November of 2006, when he fought Anthony Hardonk. I also thought it was interesting, Jay, he's fought primarily as a heavyweight, but said he's planning a move down to 205?
Yeah, he's a lot smaller than when I saw him. He's fought at heavyweight actually a lot bigger. I've seen him about 250, 260, and definitely looking a lot leaner, looking a lot more in shape than the last couple times I've seen him fight. So hopefully that cardio doesn't affect him too much in the weight cut, but you know, a lot of times guys move down from heavyweight to light heavyweight, and they retain a lot of that power. They just get a little bit faster, and a lot of the same game plan can be implemented. Sherman's game plan tonight, get a victory at all costs.
Yeah, said he was 265 for his last fight, 229 for his Bellator debut, and that debut comes against Joey Beltran. Here's JB on what sets MMA apart from other pro sports.
I love combat sports because at the end of the match, there's no question as to who won, you know. There's not, if you do it right and you knock the person out, there's no argument, you won. At the end of the day, you were the better man that night.
So on the same weekend that Manny Pacquiao will fight Ricky Hatton in Las Vegas, another Mexicutioner, Joey Beltran, the Mexicutioner, making his Bellator debut against Sherman Pendergast.
You've just wanted to say Mexicutioner, haven't you?
I'm dying to, and give Manny Pacquiao a little love on what is a big weekend for boxing's pound-for-pound king. But Beltran, Jay, signed with Bellator in December, and really an opportunity for him here to take that requisite next step in his MMA career.
Yeah, he realizes, he said, this is a huge opportunity for him, and he's not gonna waste it at all. I mean, this is a huge advantage for him. He says that being on his feet, he feels that he has the advantage over Pendergast, and that's kind of where he thinks he can exploit him. So two things happen when heavyweights go toe-to-toe. One of them usually falls down, and the other one usually wins.
Now, of course, on the day of the fight, all these fighters are a picture of focus, but Joey Beltran especially so. Really tunnel vision. I saw him about 3 or 4 times today, working out in the gym, listening to the headphones. This guy is all about taking advantage of the opportunity provided him by the Bellator Fighting Championships. As for his last fight, came in February of this year, a TKO win over Jacob Browie in the Gladiator Challenge Series, and he's been pretty hot of late. We'll see what Joey Beltran can do tonight. Let's go inside the circle.
Damas y caballeros, este combate está pactado a 3 asaltos en la división peso completo. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout scheduled for 3 rounds of MMA in the heavyweight division. Los jueces, the judges, Stacy Blevins, Virgil Goodwine y Jose Connors. El referee, Greg Franklin. Presentando la esquina azul, presenting the blue corner, vestido de negro con vivos rojos y blancos. He steps in wearing black with red and white trim. Su peso oficial, 229 libras. His official weight, 229 pounds. un especialista en Miletich Fighting Systems con un récord profesional de 11 victorias y 12 derrotas. He is a specialist in Miletich Fighting Systems with an MMA record of 11 victories against 12 defeats. Representing Miletich Fighting Systems, y originario originally from Baltimore, Maryland, Sherman the Tank Pendergast. Su rival en la esquina roja, his opponent in the red corner, vestido de negro con naranja y blanco. He steps in wearing black, trimmed in red and orange. Detuvo la báscula a un peso oficial de 233 libras. He tipped the scales at an official 233 pounds. Un especialista en boxeo y lucha libre, con un récord profesional de 6 victorias y 2 derrotas. He is a boxer and wrestler with a professional record of 6 victories against 2 losses. Representing North County Fight Club, Carlsbad, California, Joey the Mexicutioner Beltran.
Center. Gentlemen, you've been given your instructions in the locker room. I want a good, clean fight. Do I have any questions out of the blue corner? Any questions out of the red corner? Touch gloves, come out fighting.
Now, of course, the Mexicutioner means, well, he wants to execute Mexicans, at least inside the Bellator circle, but tonight he doesn't have that opportunity, so he'll have to find a way to dispose of an American tonight. We'll see what Joey Beltran can do.
An Americutioner.
There you go. I couldn't come up with it. That's good. That's good.
Glove touch, good show of sportsmanship there. And Sherman Pendergast definitely looks to be the stronger of the two.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Sherman going forward if he actually does make that drop to light heavyweight. First order of business, though, in the heavyweight division here against Joey Beltran. John Anik, Jason Chambers in Dayton, Ohio, Bellator 5.
Beltran doing a good job of just working the knees there against Pendergast. Using that cage, trying to soften up some of that thigh muscle meat. Thigh muscle meat. Did I just say thigh muscle meat?
You did. I was going to let it go.
That was, oh, jeez.
Well, either way.
Fire me.
But again, you're talking about 5 or 6 knees have already landed to the inside there, and those eventually add up.
They definitely do. They're like the low leg tie kicks you see.
See Joey Beltran doing a real nice job keeping that right hand on the chin. The first thing they tell you if you take a boxing lesson.
Keep your hands up, keep that right up. Taking some boxing lessons in it?
In my day, took about 12 or 15. Threw up after the first 3.
Okay.
True story.
Might need to switch to jiu-jitsu lessons now. This is mixed martial arts, man.
I'm telling you.
Get some wrestling in there.
A little kickboxing, some Muay Thai.
I'm telling you, stay tuned, folks. John Anik gonna fight.
Yeah, right.
Not gonna happen evidently. Speaking of a good fight in Bellator, Pendergast and Beltran was happy to slug it out on their feet.
And again, mentioned briefly off the top here, but Joey Beltran really has no-nonsense approach to this week here in Dayton, Ohio as any fighter that we came across. I mean, it just was so eternally focused on the task at hand, and he recognizes this is a huge opportunity, doesn't want to let it go by the boards.
Beltran got a good right hand in there on the chin of Pendergast. Not really able to follow up with it. Oh, nice left hook. Put Pendergast on his heels. Oh, it looks like Pendergast is still a little bit rocked from that.
Yeah, nice left jab.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely rocked.
Sherman's in trouble.
Oh, keep going. Oh, it's all. Stay on him. And it's over. TKO finish.
Brett
Beautiful.
Franklin steps in. Joey Beltran living up to the billing. A quick TKO there of Sherman Pendergast. Sherman wants to know what happened. Well, you got your bell rung and 6 or 8 times over. So undoubtedly, at 42 years old, disappointment for Sherman Pendergast. A different story for Joey Beltran. A very solid performance as he gets that record. Now 3 full fights over 500.
Yeah, that was a nice right hand there that he hit him with.
Beltran been wrestling and boxing since junior high, and Really young in terms of his mixed martial arts career. Started training at 22. Now 26 years of age. Came in as about a 2-1 favorite here, riding a 2-fight winning streak, and now that winning streak's at 3. You see the end of the fight here, and Beltran landing the left hook right on the chin, and Pendergast was clearly stunned, and Beltran knew it, and he took advantage. A few left jabs mixed through the middle there, and then some hooks, and then Pendergast hits the canvas, and Franklin gets in the way there. Joey Beltran, a very solid Bellator debut. All right, so Joey Beltran victorious. Let's send it inside. Lupe Contreras has the official decision.
Caballeros, el referee Greg Franklin detiene el combate con un tiempo oficial de 2 minutos 24 segundos el primer asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, referee Greg Franklin steps in, stops the fight with an official time of 2 minutes 24 seconds of the very first round. Your winner, by way of technical knockout, el ganador por nocaut técnico, the Mexicutioner, Joey Beltran.
So you know they're happy at NCFC Fight Team. A great win here for Joey Beltran. When we return, the action continues at the Hera Arena, Dayton, Ohio. We'll hear from Beltran right after this. So just as Joey Beltran drew it up for his Bellator debut, the winner standing by with our own Jason Chambers.
I'm here with your winner, Joey Beltran. Joey, an amazing first fight, great TKO finish. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts coming into this fight.
Well, I don't know. I kind of knew it was going to go that way. I'm not trying to sound cocky, but I trained the hardest I've ever trained in my life for this fight, so basically got what I deserve.
Well, you got the TKO. Talk us through the end of the fight here.
Well, he's really strong at first, but, you know, just throwing them things, man. That's how we do it in Cali. Just, you know, I knew he was getting tired. The punches were coming a lot slower, so I just waited to plant the right. Bonsai. Nighty-night.
Well, that's an impressive first fight here in Bellator. We look forward to seeing more of you. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey Beltran.
And if you're in the Chicago area on May 15th, come join us at the Aragon Ballroom Bellator Fighting Championship 7. It is our welterweight tournament semifinals. Coming up next, Dave Pee-wee Herman, the new version of Dave Pee-wee Herman, taking on Josh Barnes. More Bellator action from Dayton, Ohio when we return. So a special feature attraction in the heavyweight division, 3 rounds between Josh Barnes and Dave Pee-wee Herman, who I'm sure you know. As for Josh Barnes, well, his MMA game pretty complete.
My strengths as a fighter are I'm great at stand-up. I'm good all around, basically. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I was a 5-time national champion in AAU. You know, that's why I was in high school and stuff. I didn't get to go to collegiate for it. But basically my stand-up and my ground game is all around.
So Josh Barnes, 5-1 in his mixed martial arts career, 6'5", weighed in at 263.5 pounds. So one guy taking full advantage of the 265-pound weight limit, and another guy from a quality camp team Wolfpack in Muncie, Indiana.
Yeah, Josh Barnes is a huge wrestler, 263 pounds. I mean, that's a Goliath of a fellow. I mean, 5 wins by knockout, submission. I mean, he's all over the place, and someone that has such a fantastic wrestling pedigree as Josh Barnes does, that's a lot of weight to be thrown around the ring.
I asked him the word association when I said Bellator. He said, finally, my time. Notable wins in his career over another Bellator fighter, Sherman Pendergast. Also beat Jeremy Norton under the Show XC banner. Also a win over Jason Bedker in the King of the Cage fight in early 2008. So some notable wins, some notable victories on the ledger there for Josh Barnes. Some scouting on his opponent, Herman. Called him a great defensive wrestler. But, you know, put simply, just believes he's the more well-rounded guy, even though Dave Herman has more momentum, comes into this fight about a 4-1 favorite, and Josh Barnes a 3-1 underdog. He thinks he's the better fighter. He thinks he's the more well-rounded fighter. We'll see if that comes to fruition tonight. All right, his opponent, Dave Pee-wee Herman, sort of a new approach for Dave to mixed martial arts.
Well, I've been in Nashville, training at Nashville MMA.
It's kind of new for me. I've never really trained in the gym before, have like a set routine, workouts. Usually I just kind of wake up and was like, oh, I'll probably do this today. Maybe I get around to it, maybe not. But so it's been new and interesting.
So Jason, Dave Herman, one of the more interesting guys in the world of mixed martial arts, very unorthodox in terms of how he got to this point.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of guys that are self-trained that have a record of 14-1. A lot of the guys that are self-trained are 0-14.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like the old adage, you know, with the someone who represents themselves, like in the legal field. It's something about having a fool for a client if you're your own attorney.
Right.
And same thing can almost be said for guys that train themselves. How much can you teach yourself by looking at videos? But clearly, Dave Pee Wee Herman here, 14-1, 10 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission. He is a force to be reckoned with, and an amazing fighter, too. A guy I love to watch fight.
It's like Happy Gilmore, self-taught, no lessons, you know. But Dave Herman now with Ed Clay's Nashville MMA. In terms of Ed Clay, certainly a name that will ring true with the hardcore fans out there. One of the more well-rounded trainers in the business. And Herman, I asked him, you know, if he had peaked as a mixed martial artist. I really didn't mean has he hit his ceiling, but is this the best that he's ever been? And Dave Herman said unequivocally, yes, this is the best I have been in my mixed martial arts career. Started the career with 13 straight wins. Is now coming into this fight off his only career loss. That came against Move Bai Choi at the Sengoku No-Ran card in January of 2009. And really the case on Dave Herman, Jay, pretty gifted wrestler, yeah?
Yeah, fantastic wrestler. I mean, he's actually so talented for being a guy that trains himself that he was too dangerous to fight Kimbo Slice.
All right. Lupe Contreras has the announcement.
Este es el siguiente combate de esta noche, pactado a 3 asaltos en la división peso completo. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our next bout of the evening, set for 3 rounds in the heavyweight division. Los jueces, the judges, Jose Connors, Virgil Goodwine y Stacy Blevins. El referee, Jerry Poe. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de negro, con vivos blancos y rojos. He steps into the ring wearing black trunks trimmed in red and white. Su peso oficial, 263 libras y media. His official weight, 263.5 pounds. Un experto en las disciplinas del boxeo y lucha libre, con un récord profesional de 4 victorias y solo 1 derrota. He is a boxer and wrestler with an MMA record of 4 victories against 1 lone defeat. Representing Team Wolfpack, Muncie, Indiana, Josh Barnyard Barn. En la esquina roja, in the red corner, igual que su rival, viste de negro con vivos rojos y blancos. He also stepped into the ring wearing black, trimmed in red and white. Su peso oficial, 238 libras. His official weight, 238 pounds. Un experto en la disciplina de la lucha libre, con un récord profesional de 14 victorias y solo 1 derrota. He is a wrestler with an MMA record of 14 victories against 1 lone defeat. Representing Nashville MMA and fighting out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, Dave Pee Wee Herman.
Gentlemen, we had our instructions in the back room. Do I have any questions? Any questions? Okay, protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Good luck.
And you see Jerry Poe there, the 3rd man in the cage. And Ed Herman, you know, the nickname Pee Wee sort of sums him up as an individual. So interesting at the weigh-in, the minute he weighed in, grabs a bottle of ketchup, starts squirting it into his mouth. I mean, he's just a whimsical guy. And I think that's what keeps him loose in the world of mixed martial arts, and it's hard to argue with 14 wins and 15 pro fights.
Well, you know, speaking of arguing, John, I rarely disagree with you, but I do not think the word Pee Wee sums up anything about a 6'5", 240-pound guy.
The point I'm making is that Pee Wee Herman's an odd duck, and Dave Herman is certainly that. But
Pee Wee Herman was a fictional character. Dave Herman, not so much. Oh, nice flying knee there by Herman.
Barnes able to land with a right hand there.
Oh, it's a nice knee connected. Oh, good left hand dropped Herman to his knee.
How about that? Herman able to get back on his feet quickly, but a nice punch there by Josh Barnes.
Well, we're going to see what Dave Pee Wee Herman learned in his training camp here. clearly Muay Thai has been a big part of his game here. He's working to get inside of the clinch there. Barnes throws a couple looping punches that just missed the chin of Herman. It's going to be interesting to see if this actually goes to the ground, having both guys with a strong wrestling background.
Right.
I got a prediction. I don't think this goes to the ground.
I was going to say, I got a prediction. I don't think it goes the distance, but you know, it is interesting. You look at these guys physically, and you might think Dave Herman has the cardio edge, but Barnes, you know, looked us straight in the eyes and said, trust me, there's no way that Dave Herman can match my cardio. So we'll see what happens if this fight gets into the latter rounds.
You wouldn't think that, would you?
No.
Good leg kick there by Herman. Here in the corner yelling straight punches. You got to get in deeper. Oh, good elbow over the top there by Herman. Both guys not afraid to stand toe-to-toe and throw leather. That's what I love about heavyweights. These guys will bang it out. Usually when one of them does, ends in a good knockout or TKO. Either way, it's exciting fights.
Right.
You know, that's some of the things that you see with the heavier weight classes is that they tend to be more the slugfest, more the knockouts. The lighter weight guys, oh, good inside leg kick, and he caught him with a, you saw, after he caught him with that leg kick, Herman had to pull back, and he almost soccer kicked him in the face there. And again, not a rule, cannot kick a down opponent. Herman, a great job there of minding the rules, even though his instincts may have kicked in there.
You saw there Barnes was asking for time, but Jerry Poe saw the action as we did. It wasn't a shot to the groin. Nice leg kick there by Herman lands.
Yeah, Herman threw a fantastic leg kick there, put Barnes down and took out that support leg. Back to my point though, is just the other guys tend to be a little more action-oriented,
Sure.
a little more submissions and stuff. So there's a good mix of watching both of the fights. The more educated you get as a viewer, and you know, watching mixed martial arts, it's easy to understand a fight when there's a slugfest who's winning, because it's usually the guy whose face is less swollen.
Right.
You know, on the ground, you got to kind of watch a little more and get more acclimated. Oh, that was a big knee. That might have been a little bit low.
Well, that time Jerry Poe saw a shot to the groin, and
oh no, that's not good.
He's putting Dave Herman back to his corner. The question is, will he dock a point here?
I don't know. He didn't see if he ended up docking a point. We're going to probably get a look here to see if that knee was really low. Let's take a look here at the replay and see where that knee was. Obviously, Barnes definitely stunned there. See that knee through? Kind of hard to take a look at from this angle. But Herman was in on that Muay Thai clinch. If we look at it from the front here, that right knee is going to come driving up, and it may have been a little bit low. Kind of hard to tell, but you know, you want to give Barnes the benefit of the doubt and feel that he's definitely feeling something there. And nobody wants to get kneed in the kisser.
Again, sort of hard to see from those angles, but you know, might have glanced the thigh or the stomach. But Jerry Poe had a better angle than we did, and he immediately intervened. Looks like just a warning, not necessarily a point dock.
I'm not sure if that actually hit his groin or the lower half of his abdomen.
Unintentional. I recalled it unintentional.
Let me take a look at this one more time. It's just so hard to tell, but obviously the fight has been stopped to get a little recovery. But if we look one more time, Herman doing a good job working that tie clinch, and he throws that leg up. It looks like it was a little bit high. The ref saying it was unintentional. No points are going to be docked, so at least it's not going to affect how this round comes out for Herman if he does end up winning the round.
Yeah, it seemed like Herman, clearly unintentionally, was going for the midsection or the leg, and I think what happened, Josh Barnes put his leg up, and his knee hit Herman's leg, and it sort of let it where you don't want it to be. So Josh Barnes, of course.
Well, the one thing we do want to do is give the fighters time to recuperate, because the last thing that anybody wants is someone to say, hey, I didn't have time to recuperate. So, you know, nobody wants to see that used as an excuse to lose a fight. So we give Josh Barnes the 5 minutes he needs, and when he's ready to come back in, he'll hopefully be full force.
How we feeling? Good? You ready? All right. To your corner, to your corner. Over here.
You know, you do wonder also, Barnes complained after the first strike near the midsection. Maybe that early complaint led to Poe intervening the second time around.
I think perhaps Barnes just wants a little rest. Obviously wanting to get a little vengeance back there from Herman, throwing some hands right away. Action's right in front of us. You hear his corner yelling, turn, turn, and wanted to put him on the fence.
Again, so difficult with these heavyweights, though. You throw a knee, and if your opponent gets in the way in any, nifty up kick there by Dave Herman.
You hear Josh Barnes' corner yelling forward, to keep moving forward. They want him to stay the aggressor, and sometimes these fights come down to what the judges look at is who controlled the center of the ring, and who's walking back, who's walking forward. And it's as simple as I'm trying to engage and you're disengaging, but some great counterpunchers like Anderson Silva, and obviously done really well for him. Lyoto Machida, other guy. Doesn't always mean you're losing the fight, just means you're looking for big punches.
Well, Barnes still striking, but a little flat-footed here as we go under a minute in the opening round. Again, the corner looking for straight punches out of Josh Barnes.
It looks like Herman at this point is kind of staying a little bit outside and just working around and picking his shots a little more than Barnes. Barnes moving forward. Tough fight to call this far, but a lot of action. Both guys willing to slug it out and get back in that tie clinch, where I think we've seen Herman kind of dominate for the most portion of that. Pace definitely slowing a little bit here as we wind down to the last 15, 20 seconds.
Solid inside leg kick there for Herman, and the knee does damage.
Left, right, oh, it's all over! It's all over. Just when you think the round is gonna be the end, it is the end of the fight.
So Dave Herman with style points. The knee lands flush to the melon, and it's over shortly thereafter. Dave Herman sends Josh Barnes home, a disappointed man from Dayton, Ohio, and the crowd enjoying the performance from Dave Pee Wee Herman. You think back to early on in that first round, Jay, you know, he goes down to the canvas almost immediately, but is able to recover, and he gets the win. Dave Herman improving to 15-1 in his mixed martial arts career, and
that was a fantastic flying knee he hit him with there, too. I mean, you think at the end of the round, it was kind of a round where the pace was slowing the last 10, 15 seconds, and then you see huge flying knee that puts Barnes down, and Herman able to follow up with some strikes.
So Dave Herman holding serve here as a more than 3.5-to-1 favorite. Much of the career self-trained, an unorthodox approach to mixed martial arts, now with Ed Clay's Nashville MMA. And if Dave Herman is really serious about his mixed martial arts career, and all indications are that he is, you know, his future is bright and the ceiling is very high. You see the inside leg kick there, and Barnes gets up only to assume some more punishment here.
You see that, Herman doing a good job of working the clinch. He comes over the top there with a big right elbow that just landed clean. And just when you think that pace of the fight is slowing down here, you got 15 seconds left in the fight, and Herman comes with a kick, and that sets up that flying knee. Boom!
Yeah, Josh Barnes not showing off that cardio he talks about, and
into
wow,
the cage.
With the right knee there, and shortly thereafter, it is over. Dave Pee Wee Herman getting the victory there. We send it inside for the official announcement. The voice of the Bellator Circle, Lupe Contreras.
Damas y caballeros, el árbitro Jerry Poe detiene el combate con un tiempo oficial de 4 minutos 46 segundos del primer asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, referee Jerry Poe steps in, stops the fight with an official time of 4 minutes 46 seconds of round number 1. Your winner, by way of technical knockout, el vencedor por knockout técnico, Dave Pee Wee Herman.
So Dave Pee Wee Herman gets the W here. Jason Chambers will speak to the winner when we return here to Dayton, Ohio. Will join us next week, the featherweight semifinals, Corpus Christi, Texas, Friday, May 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern at the Central Pavilion Arena. Tickets start at just $20.
I'm here with your winner, Dave Herman. Dave, you improved your record tonight to 15-1. Just what it looked like, the pace of the fight was slowing. You hit a big knee. Tell us about your thoughts going into this fight. What was your game plan?
Well, I just started training actually at a gym. So been trying to try new stuff and actually learn how to fight properly. And just tried some of that out tonight.
Well, the training looks like it's paid off. Talk us through the end of the fight here.
I threw a kick. It looked like it hurt a little and just went in and tried to close. And succeeded.
Well, it was an impressive victory and an impressive debut here in Bellator, and we look forward to seeing more of you in the heavyweight division. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Pee-wee Herman.
Well, if Dave Herman's this good now, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Speaking of which, we go next. Jorge Masvidal in a lightweight tournament semifinal, getting ready to take on Toby Imada. One guy emerges with $50,000 and a spot in the title. Plenty more Bellator action right after this. And the Bellator Fighting Championships making its presence felt in the Buckeye State. We welcome you back inside the Hera Arena in Dayton, Ohio. It is the Bellator Fighting Championships where fighters become warriors and warriors become legends. Of course, we began our lightweight tournament with 8 fighters, all of whom had a singular goal in mind to become the first ever Bellator lightweight champion. The headliners, Eddie Alvarez and Jorge Masvidal, but a talented group overall of 155-pound warriors. And here's how we got to this point in the Bellator lightweight tournament. It began with Toby Imada and Alonzo Martinez, and in a clash of veterans, the fight was really one-sided right out of the chute. Imada really able to take the fight wherever he wanted to, and so did he. Well, he didn't have many answers. Imada got the finish he was looking for. Martinez forced to tap there, courtesy of the rear naked choke. Toby Imada moving on at 155. In another quarterfinal, tournament favorite Eddie Alvarez took on the Irishman Greg Loughran, and to the surprise of many in Hollywood, Florida, Alvarez hit the ground early, but Eddie got up nearly as quickly as he went down, got his opponent to the cage, works into the guillotine choke there. It wasn't easy, but Alvarez moves on. He sends Greg Loughran packing. Meantime, they call him Game Bread. Jorge Masvidal taking on the veteran Nick Aguilar. The story in this one, though, would be American top teams Masvidal early and often landing strikes on the feet. And then Aguilar can't take the power. Masvidal continuing to land from the top position, showing off his vicious ground and pound. Quick and painless, Jorge Masvidal moving on to the semifinals. And the final spot in the lightweight semis decided between the submission czar Thomas Schulte against Eric Reynolds. Reynolds narrowly avoided becoming Schulte's 19th submission victim, but eventually he would get out of those holds and rally for the beautiful knockout. Schulte hits the canvas there, and he's bounced from the tournament by the underdog Reynolds, and Bellator fans now know the name Eric Reynolds. And so now you see an updated look at the bracket tonight. 2 semifinals. It'll be Jorge Masvidal against Toby Imada, and in the other semi, the pre-tournament favorite Eddie Alvarez takes on Eric Reynolds. So glad to have you with us here in Dayton, Ohio. John Anik alongside Jason Chambers. And Jay, when the lightweight bracket was first revealed, most of the MMA community already started to clamor about a possible final between Jorge Masvidal and Eddie Alvarez. Not so fast, though. Both of these guys with a lot of business to take care of first tonight, beginning with Jorge Masvidal against Toby Imada.
Well, both Toby Imada and Jorge Masvidal are on winning streaks, and one thing you hear a lot about is momentum going into fights. Toby Imada winning the majority of his last, 6 out of 7 fights. I mean, he's coming in and he's hungry. He's been to these shows before, and he knows what it takes to win. Jorge Masvidal, an aggressive striker. This is your typical matchup where you see a striker versus someone who's more skilled on the ground, and it's going to come down to who can take the fight where they want to bring it.
All right, the other matchup, Eddie Alvarez, certainly a favorite here against Eric Reynolds. What kind of shot does ER have against Eddie Alvarez?
Well, both of these guys are strikers, so that's one of the things I'm going to look for is a stand-up war. Eric Reynolds calling out Eddie Alvarez, saying, hey, you're not as big of a dog as you think you are. I'm 11-1. I'm going to make it 12-1, and he's looking to upset Eddie Alvarez. A win against Eddie would be monumental in Eric's career. Eddie, however, obviously a tournament veteran, really tough guy on his feet, knows how to throw the punches, and as we saw, also knows how to submit.
Absolutely. Well, will the Masvidal-Alvarez championship match come to fruition, or will the underdogs reign supreme tonight? Let's get to our first lightweight semifinal, Toby Imada against Jorge Masvidal. So now, indeed, it is the moment you and we have all been waiting for, the continuation of the lightweight tournament semifinals. Toby Imada against Jorge Masvidal, and for Toby, finally, a shot at the big time.
Hardest thing I'd have to overcome fighting would be getting my shot. I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, took all kinds of fights out of my weight class, won some, lost some. It hurt me in the long run because it damaged my record, and unfortunately everybody seems to care so much more about your record over everything else. So, but let's get over that and finally get my chance and I can show people what I actually have. think the highest point in my life would be right now. Acceptance from my parents, acceptance from my daughter. I have the best friends I've ever had in my whole life. I got a great shot at something really big. And I really believe I can do something with it.
So here is Toby Imada, just a colossally huge opportunity in his mixed martial arts career. The semifinal bout tonight against Jorge Masvidal. Again, in the Bellator Fighting Championships, you control your own destiny. A win for Toby Imada tonight. Not only is he $50,000 richer, but he qualifies for the Bellator Lightweight Championship June 19th in Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this fight. I mean, we have a lot of great guys on the card. Bellator's bringing in a bunch of high-level talent, but Toby Imada, Jorge Masvidal, and Eric Reynolds and Eddie Alvarez, these are four of the guys that are some of the top lightweights in the country doing battle. Toby Imada, great jiu-jitsu guy, great judo guy. Jorge Masvidal, great striker, good matchup.
Toby Imada coming off a win over Alonzo Martinez in the Bellator lightweight quarterfinals as he continues to run that winning streak up. And really a who's who of mixed martial artists on his resume. Has fought the likes of Jake Shields, Joe Stevenson, Hermes Franca, Jason Miller. I guess if there's one potential weakness for Toby Imada, and I don't even know if you want to call it a weakness, but he's only gone the full 15 minutes twice in his career. He's always looking for the finish. And it might not be that easy to finish a guy in Jorge Masvidal.
Oh yeah, Jorge Masvidal is tough to put away. I mean, he's got guys like Eve Edwards, he's beat Joe Lozon. So Jorge's a tough guy. But Toby Imada, man, I mean, like he said in his pre-fight interview, his record, comes out to be roughly a 2-1, but he's a tough guy. He's refocused. He's on, a great streak, winning some fights and kicking butt. So I think that George is really going to have his hands full, and you can't underestimate a guy like Toby Imada.
Yeah,
so many fights, so much experience.
Absolutely. Imada knows his opponent's the favorite, has no problem being the underdog against Masvidal, who was born to fight.
Well, what I look for in fighters is relentlessness, never giving up in the training, always showing up on time, and never questioning, just doing what you ask for. And Jorge has that. The philosophy we use on our fighters is we like to have them well balanced in everything. We like to have them powerful, speed, with a lot of conditioning, endurance, no weakness in the chain.
I love the fight just because, I don't know, birds fly, George fights, I love the fight, man. That's what I do, it's the only thing that motivates me to do anything, My family's put up with a lot with me, especially my mother, From anything from lending me the car when I was younger so I could go places to helping me out with whatever money she could at the time, But we didn't have a lot. Whatever she had, she'd give,
Good to train the best and train guys that are willing to give 100% and fight all the way through to the end, no matter what. And Jorge has that.
So here he is representing American top team, game bred Jorge Masvidal, 17-3 in his mixed martial arts career. The 24-year-old, 5'10" tall, and very happy that the weight cut's behind him.
Yeah, Jorge's the last guy that wants to cut weight. He hates it, man. But, one of the things that he doesn't hate is knocking people out, and he's fantastic at it. 9 of his wins of his 17 came by way of knockout. He's got great hands, great reach on his hands, and he kind of reminds me of a Chuck Liddell. Chuck has that long reach, kind of a little awkward boxing, but he finds the button. And if there's one person that can put you to sleep in this tournament, it's definitely Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, Masvidal not really tested in his quarterfinal matchup against Nick Aguilar. He got the TKO victory due to punches at 119 into the fight. Masvidal beginning his career in 2003, but really has been going like gangbusters since 2006. He's won 10 of 11. And really, the strengths we know, the length, the takedown defense, vicious striking, great ground and pound. Is his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a little bit underrated?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a chance to train with Jorge Masvidal last week at American Top Team, and he's really well-rounded, surprisingly.
Damas y caballeros, este es el primer combate semifinal del torneo de eliminación directa en la división peso ligero de Bellator Fighting Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first semifinal bout of the Bellator Fighting Championships Single Elimination Lightweight Tournament. Being brought to you by Ford Motor Company. Hecho con fuerza Ford y ESPN Deportes. Los jueces son, the judges are Jose Connors, Virgil Goodwine y Stacy Blevins. El referee, Greg Franklin. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de blanco con negro y naranja. He steps into the ring wearing white, trimmed in orange and black. Su peso oficial, 154 libras y media. His official weight, 154.5 pounds. Un especialista en el arte marcial de estilo libre, con un récord profesional de 21 victorias y 12 derrotas. He is a freestyle fighter with an MMA record of 21 victories against 12 losses. De Los Ángeles, California, y representando and representing Throwdown Elite, Toby Imada. En la esquina roja, in the red corner, vestido de azul con rojo y blanco. He steps into the ring wearing blue, trimmed in red and white. Su peso oficial, 156 libras. His official weight, 156 pounds. Un experto en las disciplinas de artes marciales mixtas con un récord profesional de 17 victorias y solo 3 derrotas. He is an expert in MMA with a professional record of 17 victories against only 3 losses. Representing American Top Team and South Miami Sports Performance, Miami, Florida, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal.
Gentlemen in the center. Fighters the center. Fighters the center. Gentlemen, you begin giving your instructions back in the locker room. I want a good, clean fight. Do I have any questions out of the blue corner? Any questions out of the red corner? Touch gloves, come out fighting.
All right, Jay, I'm all jacked up, man. The lightweight tournament semifinals begin right now. Toby Imada against Jorge Masvidal. And
Jorge Masvidal just looked so intense during that stare down. And looking at Imada, too, they're just both so focused. Unlike some of the fights that you'll see that are just single card eliminations, where obviously there's a lot on the line because you want to win, you want to progress. Being in a tournament, you know there's a lot on the line. Imada runs out to the middle of the ring. He's ready to get this going. And let's see what he can give Masvidal with regards to some punches and kicks.
Again, the winner here moves on to the lightweight tournament championship June 19th, Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, Florida.
Masvidal definitely has a reach advantage, clearly. See if he can exploit that using that jab. I expect Imada here to just strike enough to get inside and use some of that judo. I can't imagine he's going to want to stand with Jorge Masvidal.
17 wins for Masvidal, not one of them by submission, so you know he wants to stand and trade as opposed to being on the ground against Toby. Interesting, Masvidal saying he wants to break Imada's will and spirit and really break him mentally. You talk to the Imada people, and they say if there's one thing you can guarantee about Toby, he's not going to be broken mentally. So,
well, that's kind of like the fun part to watch.
You know it. Again, so much on the line here, about a minute in. We certainly expected a feel-out process between these two warriors, and that's what we've gotten so far.
I'm like a kid in a candy shop watching this fight,
I'm telling you, you got to remember to commentate, right? You just want to watch the action.
That's right. We got to talk about this.
Mics are hot.
There you go. And so are the hands of Jorge Masvidal, throwing 4 or 5 punches down the middle. He connected with a couple of those there. Nothing too big, but punches nonetheless that did connect. And this is a matchup that a ton of people in the mixed martial arts community wanted to see also. I mean, you look at Eddie Alvarez, the dream matchup clearly being Eddie Alvarez against Jorge Masvidal. And looking at this fight also, Toby Imada, been fighting for a long time, has a ton of fans. And when people heard that these two were going to be fighting in the semifinal round, all the boards lit up.
Now, Toby Imada has competed primarily as a welterweight throughout his career, so, you know, the size discrepancy shouldn't necessarily be a huge factor, but you see a huge difference here. I mean, you can't help but notice how much smaller a man Toby Imada is in terms of the height, in terms of the reach.
You know what, I got to give Toby Imada credit. He's been pressing the action, and he doesn't show that he's too afraid of moving into Masvidal's reach. He really needs to get inside, though, of Masvidal. Masvidal's a fantastic counter striker, and he's just kind of taking his time and pacing it, and working that jab, and his great footwork, getting out of the range there, Imada. You hear Toby's corner yelling, hands up. And if there's somebody you should be yelling it against, it would be Jorge Masvidal. You've seen a lot of boxing in your day. How does the boxing in MMA compare to some of the boxing you've seen in the boxing community?
Well, I mean, I think most people would argue that the boxers on the elite level their hands are just second to none. But I think you're seeing in mixed martial arts, as the sport continues to evolve, that, you know, the strong wrestlers of the world are able to focus on their striking because they're so confident in their wrestling, and they do develop world-class boxing skills. I certainly think Anderson Silva could hang with, you know, some of the 170-pound boxers in the world.
Absolutely. But that's why they call this mixed martial arts, because there's so many ways to end fights, and Toby Imada trying to find a way to get inside and end this fight. Jorge Masvidal being able to keep him at the end of those punches. Exactly what Game Bread's plan is here. Oh, and a good inside trip by Masvidal. I didn't see that coming. Who'd have thought that Masvidal wanted to take down Imada?
Huge right hand for Masvidal there. Toby showing off the chin, but I don't know how many more of those roundhouse right hands he can take.
Imada did a good job of getting back up. I think Masvidal's game plan looks like it's just a knockout. Oh, good left knee. Oh, and he hangs on to the leg. Imada has shown a really good chin there. And both of these guys just really going at it. Both punches have been exchanged well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm more impressed with, Masvidal's striking or Imada's ability to withstand the punishment.
And Imada's been pushing forward on Masvidal, saying, you know, that he feels just as comfortable on his hands, on his feet as he does on his back, or on the ground for that matter. And Masvidal showing the exact same thing with an inside leg trip, good wrestling takedown that he had on Imada there. I tell you, if you're Imada, that's going to shock you. People tend to think that because Masvidal's majority of his wins come by knockout, that, you know, okay, maybe he's a one-dimensional fighter and you're going to go in and take this guy down. And you haven't seen Imada look for any takedowns yet. He feels pretty comfortable on his feet. And so far, this round's kind of been hard to gauge, but I'm going to have to give it to Masvidal just for that takedown that he had, a couple good counter punches.
Certainly, I would agree with you there. I mean, credit Imada for forcing the action, but I think the cleaner, more accurate strikes have landed for Jorge Masvidal. So a hotly contested 5 minutes in the books. Round 2, Masvidal and Imada coming up next.
3 punches. More than one, more than two. Use that jab. Your head movement is looking beautiful, though. Your head movement, keep that head movement up.
And if you're liking the action tonight in the lightweight tournament semifinals, we hope you'll join us next week. The featherweight semifinals, Corpus Christi, Texas, Friday, May 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern at the Central Pavilion Arena. Tickets start at just $20. All right, Jay, take us through the replay.
You saw a really good right knee there that landed by Masvidal, and then surprisingly, Masvidal throws a couple punches and then has Imada thinking, okay, we're gonna box here, and you get a good inside leg trip, and now it's time to play a guard game. Masvidal threw some really good punches from down there, and I think that right there, and these strikes, could be the defining factor in what I believe was the winning round for Jorge Masvidal.
So if you're in Toby Imada's corner, I mean, obviously you understand where you're at a disadvantage in this fight. What's the strategy?
If I'm in Toby Imada's corner, I think I'm going to tell him to work inside more. I mean, he has nothing to prove by standing with Jorge, and unless he just hasn't really figured out a way to get inside, you know, you're a second-degree judo black belt, so clearly you're clinched from a throwing point of view. Guys like Carl Parisian and stuff, you know, you got to get inside. He's got reach on you. We're going to see if Imada is able to do that. A little accidental punch in the eye there.
Nice head movement there from Imada, excuse me, Masvidal, to get out of the way.
You know, I got to say, so far I've been impressed with Imada being able to hang with Masvidal on the feet. Masvidal definitely getting the better of the exchanges. I would say primarily due to that reach advantage, but Imada, no slouch, man. Bringing it to him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, regardless of what happens tonight, this fight by no means over, but Toby Imada's future, not only in Bellator, but in mixed martial arts, is very good.
Yeah, I think we're going to see both of these guys fight a whole lot for Bellator. They're both aggressive fighters. They both can submit you, they can knock you out. Good head movement by Imada also, really working inside of that reach of Masvidal. Nice little uppercut there.
Nice right hand from Masvidal lands.
You hear Imada's corner yelling, "Don't stay there." Clearly
gotta move.
Clearly
gotta move.
Part of the game plan is not just to sit in front and let Masvidal pick you apart on your feet. Imada's did some good head movement, good foot movement, backing in and out of range. I'm just waiting to see if he's going to take this fight to the ground. That would be where I would assume he's going to have the most definitive advantage.
John Anik, Jason Chambers at the Hara Arena, Dayton, Ohio. Lightweight tournament semifinals, Jorge Masvidal and Toby Imada. You go under 3 minutes in round number 2. And I guess, Jay, sort of how we expected it to go down between these two warriors through about 7 minutes.
Yeah, one of the things I'm really impressed with is that not only has Imada been able to hang with Masvidal on his feet, but they're both mixing up their punches well. They're not throwing looping punches. They're nice and tight and clean, and they're mixing up their angles. You'll see Imada throws a few uppercuts in there, and he's got Masvidal backpedaling now. Oh, nice right hand down the pipe. Up clean your clock, a couple of those connect.
Yeah, that'll do it, huh? And Masvidal really active with those hands now.
About halfway through round 2. John, I'm going to put some heat on you. Who do you give this round 2 so far?
I think it's got to be Jorge Masvidal. I mean, I think Toby Imada has tremendous respect for Jorge's power, and I think he's just been a little bit too deliberate and a little bit too inactive here in round number 2. I think so far, you know, I'd give the first 8 minutes, certainly the first round to Masvidal, and status quo here in round 2. Nice jab there, though, by Imada, lands flush.
Well, if you're just looking gauged on who's landed the most amount of punches, Imada's face looks a little more red, a little more swollen, and I don't think that Jorge really has anything to show for some of these exchanges. Right. Again, a lot of that attributed to the reach advantage. That jab just keeps popping Imada in the face, and you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And of course, one of the scoring criterion for the judges is cage control, and certainly Jorge seems to be in complete control of what's going on in the Bellator circuit.
Oh, nice. Caught that leg, wasn't able to capitalize on it, but oh, it's a good right hand.
You see Jorge, though, the minute his opponent tries to engage and clinch him in, he just mixes up the strikes and tries to get out of the clinch. He's really a gifted mixed martial artist, Jorge Masvidal.
Well, speaking of, I mean, he's so fast with these punches. By the time, you know, we look at our monitors here and we're looking up inside of the cage of the action, that punch has come so fast. I always see as a black blur that was whizzing near Imada's head. And I have to assume that was a right hand. Not to take anything away, you know, Imada does look like a good boxer. He's been landing on his feet, been able to connect with some good punches of his own.
Well, again, now you start to see Toby's face up close, and he's really taking some punishment here. Some blood over and around the right eye, and a huge swelling there under the right eye, Jay.
Yeah, you know, Imada really needs to work inside, or he's just going to kind of have this constant battle going where he's going to... He keeps moving forward on Masvidal, throwing these punches. And Masvidal's doing a good job of just sticking him with the jab when he's coming in and setting up his own counter punches, moving side to side, and not just going straight back. If I'm Imada at this point, I have to go 2-3 punches, get inside, get the clinch, and start working the ground.
So we go under 10 seconds to go in the second round. Another strong round for Jorge Masvidal. Toby Imada hanging tough. We'll see what he has in store for Jorge in round 3.
Hey, you need to make it a brawl. You need to make this a fight. You need to make it a brawl. This is great. You're down 2 rounds, Toby. On the judges' scorecards, you're down 2 rounds.
Ah, por todos lados. No te desesperes, ¿ok? No te desesperes. Mira, cuando te llegue esa oleada, si se la ponen aquí, se la ponen aquí. Ahora se la ponen aquí. Levántalo con el López, ¿ok? Levántalo con el López, estamos perfecto. No me tires una patada a la zona media, ¿ok? No me la tires. Ok, no me tires una patada a la zona media. Si la vas a tirar es gancho y low.
And if you're in the Chicago area on May 15th, come join us at the Aragon Ballroom Bellator Fighting Championship 7. It is our welterweight tournament semifinals. Lyman Good versus Jorge Ortiz. Dave Manet opposite Omar De La Cruz. Friday, May 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tickets are yours at all Ticketmaster outlets, Ticketmaster.com, or by calling 800-745-3000.
This has been such a great fight. You see, Imada threw a kick there. Masvidal caught it and then saw that opening, threw a few punches back there. It's not that Jorge Masvidal has been slow paced. He's just trying to pick his spots because he wants to strike like a tiger and finish a fight when he feels, when he smells some blood.
We knew Toby Imada, sorry to cut you off, we knew Toby Imada was going to be difficult to finish, but the question is, how does he get the finish? How does he turn the tide here and get things to swing in his favor? How about with the right hand?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta get inside to the clinch, like I just said. And this is the first time we've seen Imada with the clinch, and being a second-degree judo black belt, I'm going to assume he's going to feel comfortable with the takedown. And there it is.
You're a prophet tonight.
Oh, he's on the back of... Oh, he got a choke, but it wasn't in deep enough. See, and just like that, now you've got Jorge Masvidal. Great exchange of action with both guys. You see Imada had a rear naked choke there for about a half a second, wasn't able to lock it in, and again, Jorge Masvidal, fantastic jiu-jitsu, and just really underrated because he finishes most of his fights with strikes.
And again, for a guy who's 5'10", Masvidal just so quick. The minute he senses any remote trouble, able to get out of harm's way, and he just makes it look so seamless and so easy.
A lot of reach. Another guy at American Top Team that's a light guy has a lot of reach, Dean Thomas. That guy's got a ton of reach too. And a nice head kick now to Imada by Masvidal. Starting to mix it up a little bit. You don't see Masvidal throw a whole lot of kicks. He just kind of plays a safe game. He knows what he's good at. He's got the reach on his opponents, and when he feels like there's that opening space, he's going to take it. And now with Imada there, not able to capitalize on getting in the clinch there.
Greg Franklin stepping in the way there.
Accidental
perhaps a groin strike there.
Definitely, it was an uppercut to the, what would be the politically correct term? The cup groin area?
Oh, that works. That works.
So you're going to take a look at the low blow here and see what that was. You see Imada threw a left hand, a right hand, and then an uppercut that didn't quite connect with where he wanted it to.
Interesting, though, Greg Franklin had no angle on that whatsoever, but Masvidal complained. I mean, it was the right call, but Masvidal issues a complaint, and immediately the action stopped.
You know, I think Imada also conceded that. You know, he knew it was.
It's a good point.
He was pretty clean. It wasn't nothing to contend there. And that's, you know, that's one of the great things about mixed martial arts is it's fantastic sportsmanship, and not that hitting the groin is, but you know, neither guy knows. Both guys know it was unintentional, and that's actually happened a couple times during the fight. And I expect they'll touch gloves and get right back into the thick of things here. Imada's eyes, right eye, is kind of swelling shut, a little bit. And he touched gloves, show respect there.
Well, the time is now for Toby Imada, about 3 minutes and change here to go in the third and final round. A spot in the Bellator Lightweight Championship on June 19th is on the line, as is $50,000. And Jorge Masvidal would appear to be 3 minutes away from reaching the final.
Yeah, unless something dramatically happens here, Jorge Masvidal, I think, will have won this fight. Just doing a fantastic job of using that reach. And then that's what you see as you see smart fighters, you know. What he does best is he has a reach advantage. He's a great boxer. He's using that jab. He's probably throwing 70, 80 jabs now, just keeping, just like that, just keeping Imada at bay. Just keeps popping that left hand out there. Like to see that, not trying to put together 4 or 5 combinations. That's going to open up and let Imada get inside and work that clinch, just picking apart those shots. You know, a lot of guys you see like Chuck Liddell, they backpedal, they just kind of use that jab, and as they backpedal, they throw those pinpoint accuracy punches, and it's good night.
Both these guys look very fresh with about 2 minutes to go in the fight.
Yeah, Imada definitely looks fresh. Oh, and a good double leg. Masvidal not having any of it.
Yeah,
let's
able
see
to stuff it pretty easily there.
Oh, let's see if he's able to finish. Oh, Masvidal now in on a single leg. Oh, this is going to be interesting. How does this end? They don't teach you any moves from this position, let me tell you.
You see Imada locking in on Masvidal's neck there with his leg.
Yeah, Imada's backwards on an upside-down triangle. Oh, Masvidal's unconscious! Oh my God, a huge upset! An upside-down triangle from the back of Toby Imada. Huge upset win.
Have
Moving
you
on.
ever seen anything like it?
I don't even know what that is.
An upside-down triangle choke, as Jason Chambers called it, and Toby Imada, the 3-1 underdog, loses the first 2 rounds and sends Jorge Masvidal back to Miami disappointed. Toby Imada, one of the most ridiculous, unbelievable submissions you will ever see in mixed martial arts. Wow, Jason.
Let me tell you, I've been fighting for, what, 10, 11 years and probably have seen 600 mixed martial art fights. That is hands down the most awesome submission I've ever seen. You had a takedown into a takedown, and Masvidal shot in and upside down. I mean, let's take a look at this here. You get Jorge Masvidal in on a double leg. Toby Imada locks in an upside down triangle and just holds on to the inner thigh there, not letting Masvidal get any leverage, and Masvidal didn't even feel it coming. You see his face there, as he just kind of goes unconscious. Amazing. What an amazing, amazing choke.
That is unbelievable.
We take a look at this from another angle. A standing backwards triangle. How do you teach that?
Unbelievable. The only chance Toby Imada had in this fight, he wasn't going to knock Jorge Masvidal out. He was losing the first 2 rounds clearly. The only chance he had was to get a submission, and about as unorthodox submission as you will ever see. How about the Bellator Fighting Championships, and how about Toby Imada? $50,000 in his back pocket, and he is moving on to the Bellator tournament final. Speechless. All right, the official decision is in. We send it inside the Bellator circle. Here's Lupe Contreras.
Damas y caballeros, una estrangulación de triángulo deja a la esquina roja completamente inconsciente, forzando al referí a parar el combate con un tiempo oficial de 3 minutos, 22 segundos del tercer y último asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, a triangle choke renders the red corner unconscious, forcing referee Greg Franklin to stop the bout with an official time of 3 minutes, 22 seconds of round number 3. Your winner, by way of technical knockout, and moving on to the finals of the Bellator Fighting Championships Lightweight Tournament. Damas y caballeros, el vencedor por nocaut técnico y avanzando a las finales de Bellator Fighting Championships, Toby Imada.
Well, if you're looking for a candidate for submission of the year, I know it's only early May, but I can almost guarantee you that's one that's going to make its way to the highlight reels on all of the MMA shows. Toby Imada clinching the first spot in the Bellator Fighting Championships lightweight tournament final on June 19th. Next up, it'll be Eddie Alvarez and Eric Reynolds to decide his opponent. Toby Imada turning the mixed martial arts world completely on its axis tonight, and Jorge Masvidal gets him submitted there for the triangle choke. We will hear from Toby Imada when we return to Dayton, Ohio. So Toby Imada, in one of the most ridiculous submissions you have ever seen, submits Jorge Masvidal. Toby Imada is standing by with Jason Chambers.
Wow. That was an amazing submission. I've never seen an upside down backwards triangle. A lot of people had you figured as an underdog coming into this fight. What was your game plan against Jorge Masvidal?
Just like any other fight, really, whatever, like bring the best game that I have. My best hands, best wrestling, takedowns, submissions. It's the only thing I can do. Didn't prepare any different other than try to get ready for a guy with a extraordinary reach and a good striker. But other than that is just basically not give up and fight to the very end. It's not over till it's over.
Well, let's take a look at the end of the fight here. Walk us through exactly what happened, because I can't even call this.
Basically, I was just in the third and last final round. Like, I had to go to balls out. He went down, he got for the single. It's a position that I've trained in all the time. Just went ahead, threw in what's known as a Sankaku triangle.
Did you know you had that triangle in deep, or did you just kind of hold it on there?
I knew it. I've trained, I practiced. It's kind of one of my main moves. Just got it on him, held it, and the other thing I can do is, as soon as I had it locked up, just squeeze it as long as I can and see what happens.
Well, what's going to happen is you're in the finals, and you're one win away from another $100,000 paycheck. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, moving on, Toby Imada.
So Toby Imada moves on, and now he gets to sit cage side and watch the final semifinal. Coming up next, Eddie Alvarez fighting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's taking on the underdog in Eric Reynolds. ER definitely upset-minded tonight. The Bellator lightweight tournament semifinals continue right after this. And welcome back to the Hera Arena in Dayton, Ohio. John Anik cage side here with the CEO and co-founder of the Bellator Fighting Championships, Bjorn Rebney. Bjorn, before we get to Eddie Alvarez and Eric Reynolds, our final lightweight tournament semifinal, how about Toby Imada? What did you see there?
How about it? You know what, John, it speaks exactly to what we were supposed to be all about. It's about a tournament format. It's about fighters controlling their own destiny. Matt Stanzel, our matchmaker, came to me 13 months ago and said, you got to put Toby Imada in this tournament. He's got the best losing record in the history of MMA. The guy's magic, and he can win the whole thing at 20-11. He's got decision losses to Jake Shields off of 8 days' notice. This is a real mixed martial arts fighter at the highest level of the game. Lost early in his career, but that's what it's all about, the upsets. It's about a guy getting a chance and taking advantage of it. He beat one of the best lightweights in the world. Magic.
Absolutely the essence of competition. So season 1 of the Bellator Fighting Championships continues. The quarterfinals are done. Now we're moving ahead with the semifinals. Overall, how satisfied are you with how the tournaments are playing out so far?
You know what? It's played itself out like I'd hoped it would. It's a format that shows respect to this great sport. It shows respect to the fans who watch it and love it. It shows respect to the fighters who get in there and put everything on the line. It puts a fighter's destiny in his own hands and his own elbows and his own feet. That's what we wanted to do. And Toby Imada, a guy who's fighting on little shows locally, beating a guy like Jorge Masvidal in our semis, that speaks directly to what we were about. Give a guy a shot and let him decide it inside the cage.
All right, very quickly, so far so good for season 1. What does the future hold for the Bellator Fighting Championships?
You know what? We're going to stick with the tournament format. Next season, whoever wins our lightweight, our featherweight, our welter, our middleweight division, there's going to be a tournament of 8 guys that are going to fight for the right to challenge him for that title. It's going to stay objective, and fighters are going to earn it inside the cage, how much they earn, and if they get a chance to fight for a world title.
He is the CEO and co-founder of the Bellator Fighting Championships, Bjorn Rebney. A happy man right now, but the action is not over yet. Our final lightweight tournament semifinal, Eddie Alvarez against the upset-minded Eric Reynolds. So one spot remains in the lightweight final. Eric Reynolds taking on Eddie Alvarez. We talked to Reynolds yesterday. He's the underdog, clearly. The question for Eric Reynolds, is he a live underdog?
Yeah, it's funny that you say I'm the underdog and he's the one from Philly, you know, Rocky and all that. But I'll show him who's the underdog tomorrow. I like to be counted out. Takes all the pressure off me, puts it all on him. I have everything to gain, and he has everything to lose. I just been training hard, just sticking with the 2-a-days, and doing a lot of boxing with boxers, gearing it towards Eddie. I plan on knocking him out tomorrow.
So finally catching our breath after Toby Imada's fireworks in the lightweight semifinals, and now all eyes on Eric Reynolds, and that's the way Reynolds wants it here.
Yeah, I, looking at this fight, thought that, you know, Eric Reynolds would have his hands full, and he does have his hands full in Eddie Alvarez and vice versa, but upsets happen. This isn't, you know, a sport where you can count on certain things. That's why it's really hard to bet on this sport. I mean, slips happen. I mean, who in a million years could count an upside-down backwards triangle?
Unbelievable. Well, let's give Eric Reynolds a little love here. His upset victory over Thomas Schulte in the quarterfinal round, not without some controversy though, Jay.
No, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people thought that there was a clear tap by Eric Reynolds, and you know, like you said, though, upsets have been the norm in this tournament. Eric Reynolds upsetting Thomas Schulte, and you're coming into the last fight, and obviously Masvidal getting upset by Imada. What a great matchup it would be if we had Eric Reynolds upsetting all the way to the final against Eddie Alvarez with Imada.
Well, Eric Reynolds has never fought past the first round, but a tremendous striker, really with all of his limbs. A Muay Thai national title, a great kickboxer, a lot of karate and kickboxing as a kid, and really wants to keep this fight on the outside. We talked to Eddie Alvarez. He's going to want to fight in the inside of the cage, wants to fight the thing on a napkin. Not so for Eric Reynolds. The kickboxers need their space, and in order to keep that rhythm going, he's going to want to keep it on the outside. All right, well, we've seen Reynolds. The pre-tournament favorite was Eddie Alvarez, and the fighter in Eddie came out at a very early age.
Fighting was the thing to do. If you weren't fighting, you were kind of on the outskirts, so it was just something I grew up with. I would compare it to kids playing like stickball or, you know, soccer. We just like to fight. Mostly under my father's influence. He always taught me when I was younger how to punch properly. I respect my opponent so much that I train as hard as I do. And by the time the night of that fight comes, the respect ends. I fight every day. Every day is a fight for me. I train every day.
It takes that certain individual, like, to come in here and keep doing it. It does. And Eddie's one of the upcoming stars, and he's going to make it.
Eddie can win against any fighter in his weight class at this point.
But if you want to improve as a fighter and become
better in a short period of time, tournaments are great.
Well, you heard one of his trainers say there, Eddie's gonna make it. Some would argue Edward Alvarez has already made it.
Yeah, Eddie Alvarez, by most people's liking, is a top 10 in the world. And let me tell you, there's a lot of 155-pounders out there, and that's no small feat.
So for Eddie Alvarez, coming off a win over Greg Loughran in the Bellator quarterfinals, got stung early but was able to respond rather quickly and sealed in the guillotine choke. Really the first true submission victory of his career. Submitted some other people with strikes, but this was a nice, you know, sort of feather in the cap for Eddie Alvarez.
Absolutely. Like one of the things you said, Eddie did get his bell rang a little bit. I was talking to Eddie before his last fight, even after, and one of the things he said is that he goes, hey, I told the ref, don't stop the fight. I get knocked out in all my fights, and I recover fast. So Eddie has had that kind of what-if factor. What if one of these punches lands? What if I don't recover? What if this is the punch that puts me down? It hasn't been the case this far. Eddie Alvarez, again, 16-2. You know, his loss is only coming by top of the cream of the crop guys, Shinji Aoki and also Nick the Goat Thompson, but that was at 170. So it's anyone's fight.
Well, most notable from our conversation with Eddie Alvarez early this week, absolutely loves the tournament style, has competed and dreamed, and really just has such a different mindset than he had 1 month ago. There was no appreciable weight cut this time around, no regression in his skills. You see his wife Jamie there, obviously a huge supporter. But this is the happiest Alvarez has ever been at a weigh-in. The question is, how happy will he be at the end of the night?
Caballeros, este es el segundo combate semifinal del torneo de eliminación directa de Bellator Fighting Championships en la división peso ligero. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our second semifinal bout of the Bellator Fighting Championships Single Elimination Lightweight Tournament. Presentado por, being brought to you by Ford Motor Company, hecho con fuerza Ford y ESPN Deportes. Pactado a 3 asaltos, set for 3 rounds of MMA action. Los jueces son, the judges are Virgil Goodwine, Jose Connors y Stacy Blevins. El referee, Jerry Poe. Presentando la esquina azul, introducing the blue corner. Vestido de blanco con negro y rojo. He steps in wearing white with red and black. Su peso oficial, 157 libras y media. His official weight, 157.5 pounds. Un experto en la disciplina de boxeo tailandés con un récord profesional de 11 victorias y solo una derrota. He is a Muay Thai practitioner with an MMA record of 11 victories against 1 lone defeat. Representing champion MMA, Tampa, Florida, Eric, it's a wrap Reynolds. Y en la esquina opuesta, in the opposite corner, vestido de verde, blanco y rojo. He steps in wearing green, white, and red. Detuvo la báscula a un peso idéntico de 157 libras y media. He tipped the scales at an identical 157.5 pounds. Practica el arte marcial de boxeo con un récord profesional de 16 victorias y 2 derrotas. He is a boxer with a professional record of 16 victories against only 2 losses. Representing the Fight Factory, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Eddie Alvarez.
Gentlemen, okay, we had our instructions in the back room. Was there any questions here? Any questions here? I expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times, so let's touch gloves and come out fighting.
So a fairly major upset in our first tournament semifinal. Eddie Alvarez trying to hold serve here as the favorite against Eric Reynolds.
Yeah, Eddie Alvarez is coming out, and he said, you know what, Eric Reynolds isn't really in my league. And Eric Reynolds wanted Eddie Alvarez ever since this tournament took place, and he got his wish. Let's just see how that wish plays out.
Yeah, Reynolds thinks Alvarez is tailor-made for him. I don't know that Alvarez is tailor-made for any opponent, but right. I think for Eric Reynolds, you know, he was really able to do what he wanted to do in training for this fight. He likes to stand and bang. You know, beating a submission czar and Thomas Schulte the first time around. This is a test that I think is more in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think that Eric Reynolds, you know, definitely has a little bit of reach. I think he's going to be more of a kickboxer as opposed to Alvarez being a little more of just a straight boxer. And, you know, Alvarez clearly has a little more wrestling experience. I'm going to say he's a little better athlete too, from the people I've talked to that have trained with him. And you can see him pushing the action here. Nice double leg. Oh. Could Eddie end this fight the same way he ended his first fight, with an off-the-cage guillotine? That would be incredible. Eddie's going to try to suck him off the cage here a little bit and flatten his back.
Safe to say this isn't where Reynolds wants to be about a minute in.
Yeah, no, I think that, I think Eddie feels confident standing up, and there you go. Eddie now going to work from the guard here of Eric Reynolds. Eric Reynolds, by his own accord, doesn't have a whole lot of jiu-jitsu experience, not the best on his back. Guys like Aoki that Alvarez has fought, though, fantastic off of their back. So this is somewhere that I think that even though there's more submissions to be had by Eric Reynolds, Alvarez is probably more comfortable in this position. You hear Eric Reynolds' corner yelling, feet on his hips and push away. They want him to open his guard, take his feet, obviously put him on the hips of Alvarez and use that to stand up.
Look at the heavy hands from Alvarez from the top there. Nice right hand connects flush.
And by Alvarez keeping his head down and not posturing his head up, it negates any attempt at getting a leg around his head for an armbar while he's throwing those punches. Let's see if Alvarez here can pass now. And nice pass all the way over to the cross side. We're seeing Alvarez work some jiu-jitsu to see if he's going to move into mount here and get that left knee across the stomach of Alvarez.
So the Reynolds corner telling him to push his head up with his right arm.
There's that left knee over the belt like I thought. And into mount. This is a bad spot for Eric Reynolds to be in. Alvarez is just going to start raining down punches, and I think you're going to see Reynolds turn his back just like that. Oh, but he's off, and it's back to a stand-up war.
Reynolds now has to do everything in his power, well, I was going to say, to keep it up, and he goes back down again. And
you hear the corner of what sounds like Reynolds yelling knees. There may be some fans behind the corner there. Wouldn't make a lot of sense for Reynolds.
Yeah, maybe some Alvarez fans behind us.
Yeah, knees from this point could be detrimental if Eric tries throwing them.
So we go under 2 minutes in the opening round, and really all Eddie Alvarez so far.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Reynolds has been doing a good job of throwing some punches, but nothing's really connected. But still very much in this, and if there's one thing that we've learned in these Bellator tournament fights is that you can't count someone out until that third round bell has rung and the judges have told you who the winner is. Good double leg, a good defense there by Reynolds, and he hops on the front, trying to get around to the back of Eric Reynolds. Oh, he's got he almost had that right hand in there. Nice finish with a nice knee.
Reynolds' little smile there. Not sure he has much to smile about to this point of the fight.
Alvarez showing good wrestling, too, getting in a couple of good double legs. Reynolds doing a nice job of trying to fight those off. Let's see if he can get him off the cage here. Yeah, he's in deep. There it is.
Eddie just so busy no matter where the fight goes in round one.
I'm going to see if Eddie's going to stand up and just rain punches down.
Reynolds' corner looking for an elevator sweep. Any idea what?
Yeah, it's not going to happen anymore that Eddie passed the guard, but an elevator sweep would be using that open guard that he was in and passing, but no longer a factor as Eddie Alvarez moves into mount. And Eric Reynolds using the cage to sneak out the back. Good control by Alvarez, though, not letting him get too far away and keeping good pressure there.
So Reynolds doing a nice job battling here a little bit, but again, a hugely one-sided round here for Eddie Alvarez. I don't know that Reynolds has landed an appreciable strike at all.
Yeah, no, so far this round has been 80% Eddie Alvarez. A couple good defensive moves by Reynolds, but nothing really offensive that could make the judges sway.
All right, some ground and pound for Alvarez to complete round one. All right, so getting ready for round two here. First, we're going to take a look back at what happened in the first and opening round of this lightweight tournament semifinal.
Yeah, this has been a great round so far. Alvarez really dominating. You see he gets in nice and deep and just drives all the way to the fence there and uses the cage to get Eric Reynolds to the ground. And later on, you saw that just even the striking portion, too. mixing it up well, working the body of Reynolds, coming over the top with some punches and working some good ground and pound. So this first round, so far, all Eddie Alvarez. If I'm Eric Reynolds, I got to start thinking about what can I do to change my game plan.
Sure. Well, Toby Imada's already moved on to the Bellator Championship at 155, June 19th, Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Hollywood, Florida. Tickets on sale, Ticketmaster.com, and going fast, by the way. Of course, the winner here tonight will meet Toby Imada.
Oh, it looked like he caught Eddie. It looked like for Eric Reynolds caught Eddie Alvarez there for a second. Eddie kind of turned his back and did a couple steps away. Eddie again in on that single leg. Eric really hasn't had a whole lot of defense stopping him once he's in that deep, and I'm going to assume that Alvarez is going to be able to switch it to a double here and get him off the fence.
Well, opportunities for guys like Eric Reynolds against elite fighters like Eddie Alvarez don't come around that often.
There's the double he switched it up to, and now he's going to do the second part of that equation and try to pull him off the fence a little bit here. I think we're going to see some punches right from here. Oh, Eddie's in on that guillotine. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful bow and arrow from wrestling. Eddie Alvarez just really showing that, hey, I can wrestle, I can submit, working really good positioning here on Eric Reynolds, and I think that's a smart game plan, you know. Eddie Alvarez knows his chin has been tested a few times, and he said it's not necessarily the best. He says, I recover quick, but I have gotten rocked in my last few fights, and Eddie doing a good job of coming out and wrestling, and now you got Eric Reynolds in on a single leg. Let's see if he can finish that.
Well, Eddie Alvarez is often fond of telling the officials, if I go down, don't end the fight. I recover as quickly as I go down. Nice takedown there.
Speaking of going down, another double leg. Now it's about 8 now for Eddie Alvarez. Alvarez is going to try to use that left instep on the thigh of Eric Reynolds and push down and use that right knee and kind of start to squeak it out. Or he can just put it over the bicep and start to punch him. Right into mount again. Alvarez is going to posture up, start throwing down some heavy punches like that. Imagining that Eric Reynolds is going to get a few punches taken to the face and maybe turn his back. We saw him do that earlier.
This could be over soon if Eric Reynolds doesn't mount some sort of counterattack. A lot of right hands landing for the pride of Philadelphia and Kensington, Pennsylvania.
Eddie Alvarez playing a really smart, good game here, just keeping a good position and not taking too many chances, posturing up a little bit to create some more space so he can soften up Eric Reynolds. You hear Eric Reynolds' corner yelling back door, and what they mean by that is they want him to come out the backside of Eddie Alvarez, scoot his hips out. There's turning his back. Oh, let's see if Alvarez can hang out to the back now. He's got an overhand, he's got an over-under. He's gonna try to pull him back and get his hooks in. Can Eddie get out of the back there? He's got that left arm around the throat. Not really that deep. But that crossface is gonna take away a lot of the pressure that Eric Reynolds is gonna be able to create on that single leg.
Just relentless pressure from Eddie Alvarez throughout the first and now the first 3 minutes of the second round.
Fantastic pressure. Eddie Alvarez is trying to work a little bit on a choke here. Oh, can he knock up a triangle? Not quick enough. He had the triangle available there.
Again, that's a spot, excuse me, but where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts just absolutely take advantage. Any open.
Yeah, I saw 2 openings in that 1 second transition.
Right.
There was an omoplata that he could have rolled to, and there was also a triangle there, but unfortunately, if you don't train stuff a lot, you're gonna have the same thing happen, like a takedown.
You see Alvarez goes for the guillotine, Reynolds goes for the guillotine, and Alvarez very easily escapes.
Yeah, Eddie Alvarez just doing a really good job of keeping constant pressure, not letting Eric Reynolds rest at all. He knows that Eric Reynolds has only been, in fights where it's been the first round. So his game plan going into this was, I'm going to make him work. I'm going to constantly keep pressure on Eric Reynolds. I'm going to push him and make him sweat, make him think about the fight. And that's exactly what Eddie Alvarez is doing. Eddie Alvarez needs to get on top here, move into mount, because he's losing that. There we go, and that he does. Moves into
Ask
mount.
and you shall receive, Jim.
You know what, man? He's working a choke. It looks like he's got it in pretty deep. A head and arm triangle. If Eddie can just get off there and squeeze and flatten his body weight out a little bit, that's pretty tight. Eric looks like he's suffering a little bit. Alvarez is squeezing. He's squeezing. That's in deep. That's in pretty deep.
Eric Reynolds doing everything in his power to not tap out here. But might it be the second straight submission victory for Eddie Alvarez?
Got less than 10 seconds left. Oh, this is going to be a battle of attrition. Looks like he's trying
how about Reynolds? Yeah, putting his finger in his mouth to get more air. How about that?
That was close, but what an amazing round by Eddie Alvarez. Fantastic work. Another round goes to Eddie Alvarez in my book.
All right, well, we got the third and final round when we return.
End it right here. Nicky, Nicky. Listen, don't get in a grappling match with him. Hang on, listen to this. Let's do it. This is your whole life, okay? Finish this round. All right, finish this round. I can win this round.
Yeah, right here you see Eddie Alvarez is in on a head and arm triangle, and that has the same effect that a regular triangle choke has, and he's really, really working there. And you see Eric Reynolds just fighting it off, and unfortunately Eddie couldn't finish it. Wisely moves back into mount and says, I'll soften you up with some more punches then if I can't get the choke in.
Well, it's been an Alvarez onslaught through the first 10 minutes. Eddie well, you'd expect him to go for the finish here early on. Obviously, you want to be a little bit conservative to make sure, you know, what happened to Jorge Masvidal doesn't happen to you. Does Eric Reynolds have a puncher's chance here?
Yeah, absolutely. You always have a puncher's chance. I mean, we can throw you in there with Eddie Alvarez. You're going to have a puncher's chance. Maybe a smaller puncher's chance, but there's still a puncher's chance. I'd bet on you.
So the third, I appreciate that. The third and final round is upon us. $50,000 and a spot in the tournament final awaits the winner, as does Toby Imada, who moved on earlier tonight with a ridiculous submission victory over Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Eddie Alvarez knows he's won the first 2 rounds, so he's just playing a smart game. You know, like we saw in the last fight, a huge upset from, I mean, by all accounts, Jorge Masvidal was winning that fight, and he was 3 minutes away from going into the finals. Eddie Alvarez making the wise decision to play a safe game. He feels very confident there on the ground, and he's throwing some good peppering shots, but not having a problem taking Eric Reynolds down and working out of the guard, just peppering him and beating him up. Going 3 rounds with Eddie Alvarez, though. Oh, nice armbar attempt.
Yeah.
Good armbar.
Eddie Alvarez really showing his maturation as a fighter. He's not going to try and stand and trade necessarily with Eric Reynolds. Has some respect for Reynolds' ability as a striker and just absolutely dominating the action on the ground.
Yeah, Eddie Alvarez doing a really good job of controlling Eric Reynolds. I think we're going to try to see him hop on the back here again. He's going to get his left hook in and try to swing his right hook in. A little blood on the nose now of Eddie Alvarez. And, you know, there we go, 2 hooks in. Gonna see Eddie Alvarez try to flatten out the hips. Oh, that rear naked choke is in deep. This is gonna be it. It's all over, ladies and gentlemen. It's all over. Rear naked choke, and Eddie Alvarez moves on to face Toby Imada in the finals, June 19th at the Seminole Hard Rock. I can't wait.
So how about Eddie Alvarez? 0 official submission victories coming into the Bellator tournament, and now a guillotine choke in the first round. And then the rear naked choke to beat Eric Reynolds in the semifinals.
2 fights in Bellator, 2 submissions. That's going to be a whole new side of Eddie Alvarez if he starts becoming dangerous on the ground, because a lot of people did look at him as a kind of a one-dimensional fighter. Everyone knows he has decent wrestling, but showing today that I can take you down, I can submit you, and I can really impose my will here. Not taking any chances against Eric Reynolds. It's going to be interesting to see if June 19th his strategy changes against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and judo expert in Toby Imada.
Well, we talk so much about the evolution of a mixed martial artist, and Eddie Alvarez certainly showing off his submission game here under the Bellator banner. There is Toby Imada. Looks like he took some punishment, and he did, but he gets the W earlier tonight, and he will indeed meet will meet Eddie Alvarez in the Bellator Lightweight Championship on June 19th.
This is just fantastic. You see, this is the closest that Eric Reynolds had to win in the fight. Was this armbar attempt that Eddie Alvarez just powered out of, got into cross-side, and then just threw some punches. And right now he's on his back. He had that rear naked choke sunk in deep this time, and there was not much right in front of our commentating booth here. We could see that it was the end of the fight, and a very happy.
Yeah, Jamie Alvarez enjoying Eddie's victory. He moves on to the Bellator final. We send it inside for the official announcement.
Damas y caballeros, una estrangulación. Mata León obliga a la esquina azul que se rinda con un tiempo oficial de 1 minuto 30 segundos del tercer y último asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, a rear naked choke forces the blue corner to tap out with an official time of 1 minute 30 seconds of round number 3. Your winner by way of submission. And moving on to the finals of the Bellator Lightweight Tournament. Damas y caballeros, el vencedor por sumisión y avanzando a las finales de Bellator Fighting Championships, Eddie Alvarez.
So just about as exciting as you can get. There you see Jamie Alvarez. Unbelievable action in the Bellator Lightweight Tournament semifinals. The final championship match has been determined. It'll go down June 19th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. It will be Eddie Alvarez against Toby Imada. And from what we've seen of Toby Imada so far, do not count him out against one of the top 5 lightweights in the world. So one more look at the end of the fight. Eric Reynolds clearly in trouble. Eddie flattens him out, and shortly thereafter, Reynolds would be tapping the canvas as Eddie Alvarez gets the submission victory. We'll hear from Eddie Alvarez when we return to Dayton, Ohio. So he's known as a striker, but Eddie Alvarez all of a sudden turning into a submission guy. The winner standing by with Jason Chambers.
I'm here with your winner, Eddie Alvarez. Eddie, 2 fights in Bellator, 2 submissions. Is this a new side to the Knockout King we're gonna see?
We've been working on my submissions, trying to be more versatile. But I'm sorry you guys didn't get to see the hands tonight. For me, this was a try to get in and get out and get to the finals. So come the finals, you're gonna see a lot more. I'm gonna let it go. It's the finals, so I don't really care anymore. So you're gonna see the whole bit there.
Eric Reynolds wanted this fight. He thought that you guys were a good matchup. What was your game plan going into this bout?
I seen Eric fight Schulte, and his ground game didn't look up to par. So it was just get the takedown and wear him out on the ground. He hasn't ever been out of the first round, so I figured the further the fight went, the more likely I would get the easier win. But I could have let the hands go more, but we'll save it for the finals, like I said.
Walk us through the end of the fight here when you got the rear naked choke.
I knew he was wearing down. My corner just told me keep at it, the same game plan, get the takedown, and he's wearing. So I sunk in the hooks, and I sat back, and I got some punches off and set up the choke.
Well, you're moving on to the final. You're going to be facing Toby Imada. Let's bring Toby over here. Toby, come on down. What are your thoughts on fighting Toby in the final June 19th at the Hard Rock?
I ain't gonna lie, I was back there peeking under the mirror watching him and George before my fights. That's not like me to do that when I have a fight, but I had to see it. Toby reminded me of myself tonight. He put himself through a war and he never gave up. You're gonna see 2 of the guys with the biggest hearts coming here with the finals. There's no bigger guy with a bigger heart than myself and Toby Imada, so you guys see a hell of a final come out.
And how do you feel about fighting Eddie Alvarez in the final? You were an underdog coming into this fight, and you've definitely earned your spot.
Yeah, definitely an underdog, but Eddie, it's an honor to fight with someone at your caliber. I'm looking very forward to it, and it's going to be one heck of a fight, man.
Well, we look forward to the fight, and we're sure it will be one heck of a fight. June 19th at the Hard Rock, you 2 guys are going to fight. We look forward to it. Congratulations, Eddie Alvarez and Toby Imada.
All right, so that will do it from Dayton, Ohio. A scintillating night of action. Next week, it continues in Corpus Christi, the featherweight semifinals, a battle of unbeatens. Joe Soto against Wilson Hayes, and then Esteban Payan takes on Jair Reyes, who goes for a 2nd straight upset victory. But before we go, one last look at the 155-pound finalists. Toby Imada was probably down on the scorecards, and then what does he do? He puts Jorge Masvidal to sleep with a triangle choke there, and then it was Eddie Alvarez turning into a submission czar. He locks in the rear naked choke there to send Eric Reynolds back to Tampa, Florida. Jamie Alvarez enjoying it. We hope you did too. For Jason Chambers and our entire Bellator crew, I'm John Anik. We'll see you next week in Texas.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Francis Ngannou. Subscribe now.